to myself, what a wonderful world.
Good morning, everyone. I am the insightful, the inspiring, the incandescent, the incomparable coach, Ivy Allen. I am a mindset coach for your life transitions. I help divorced women recreate and reinvent their lives, right? Reinvent their minds so they can recreate their lives, so they can redefine their families and start living the life they were born to live. So today we're going to talk about building a co-parenting relationship beyond the kid. So we talked about the don'ts of co-parenting. We talked about the do's of co-parenting. We talked about next level co-parenting. And this is like beyond the co-parenting relationship, there is a relationship beyond the kids, right? So beyond co-parenting, there's a relationship really that's between you and him. And for most of us, it's with your ex. And how you relate to him is as an ex. He's an excommunicated, X'd out of your life, X, right? And so what we want to do is flip the script on that a little bit. And I want you to think about him very differently, or her very differently. I want you to think about them very differently. This is going to support your co-parenting relationship, right? One of the things that's the most challenging thing to do is when you're hurt, because in theory, you were hurt by this person, right? Very few relationships where, and even when there is like, this is right, we should break up. I know that there's still a lot of sadness, hurt feelings, anger. There's still a lot of stuff underneath that layer. Even when you know it's right, there's still like, people still trigger each other, right? Because it's hard to, you've been thinking about this person in a particular way, and now you have to think about them in a different way. Your mind has a hard time getting around that. So here's something to think of. Like, all right, think of somebody in your life. Let me see if I can give you okay, I love Betty White, right? So I love Betty White. I think she's the bee's knees. I think she's the great. She's kind of like, and I mostly remember her from Golden Girls. So I remember her as like this sweet kind of grandmotherly type, or like a hip woman who's an older woman. And I loved her on her different shows, and she was always so sassy and savvy. But my mind, you can see my brows already knitting if I try to think of Betty White like a femme fatale or sexy serene. I can't even get my mind around it. So if she like showed up in a role where she was, say, for example, behaving like Blanche from the Golden Girls, where she was like, it would be a little weird for me. It's a little jarring. Why? Because I've spent the entire career of Betty White, for as long as I've known her as an actress, thinking of her as kind of like a sassy woman with like a sassy lady, so to speak. Like, not that the other with sexy serenes aren't ladies, they're a different kind of lady, but more of a proper lady. Or like even her character on Golden Girls, like a farm girl. When she was on Carol Burnett, she came from humble beginnings when she was even doing Carol Burnett and Mama's Family and so forth. Like, I've never thought of her like as this femme fatale woman, you know, more like the Blanche character. It's hard to get my mind around it. Another good example is you think of your children as little Johnny or little Susie, but think of them as 30-year-old people. Isn't that like, if whatever age they are now, like age them like 20 years from wherever they are now, and try to think of your kids like that. It's a little hard to get your mind around. So I use that as an example because that's how we relate to our ex-partners. We think of them as our husband, and then or our wives, and then we think of them in their successes or failures in that role, because that's how we've been relating to them for the past 10, 15, 20 years or so. We haven't related to them in any other way except as partner. And when the partnership dissolves, there's all the feelings that goes with the dissolution of that partnership. And it's hard to get your mind around seeing them in another way, except it didn't work out, right? And in some cases, a lot harsher. We're not very forgiving. I was betrayed. He failed me. She left me. She wasn't any good. He's a liar, right? And we put those labels on because as a result of their behavior in that relationship feels like we were like it's not, it didn't end on a good note. So there's this negative label on that previous relationship, which is why we get into the ex, right? Ex-husband, ex-partner, ex, right? He's X'd out of your life because the way in which we think about him and that relationship is as a failure, right? So what I'm here to tell you, if you really want to take your co-parenting relationship beyond the children, you have to think of them. You can't think of them as your ex anymore. This is really going to, like, I'm going to give you some next level stuff here. This is the stuff I give to my classes, and I'll tell you why. As long as he or she is an ex, it's really hard to value them in any other way in your life because they're an ex. They failed you. The marriage didn't work. Why do you want this person in your life when obviously the relationship didn't work, right? And then you get, if you really get too fine a point on it, and if I don't want them in my life, why would I want them in my kid's life, right? The two don't have anything to do with each other. You could have a great father, terrible husband, great mother, terrible partner, terrible wife, great, parent, terrible in relationships. They don't have anything to do with each other, but we collapse them. And so when you don't want this person in your life as a partner, we start extending that or projecting that onto our children. Just naturally. I'm not saying it's bad or wrong. I'm saying to notice it because it's what we do. It's a defense mechanism for us, and it's a protective mechanism for our children. But our children have the right to get to know their opposite parent and make up their own mind about the kind of character that person has and the kind of parent they are and the kind of relationship that they're going to be in. That's not up to you. It's up to you to lay the foundation that everybody should be judged on their character, and then you let your kids judge the other parent on their character. That's between the two of them. And people that don't have good character, your kids are going to see through that. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but eventually they get the message. They're smart children. Children are very discerning if you give them the space to be. But if you're going to deny them access to a parent, if you're going to deny them access to get to know their mother or father, then ultimately they're going to resent you for it, because they would say to you, just like I'm saying to you, it's not up to you, mom, dad. I get to choose whether I want to be in relationship with them. And if they suck, then I'm not going to want to be, but at least give me the chance to figure out for myself that they suck. I know that is painful for a mom and dad, because you guys know, you watch them, revolving door, inconsistent performance, not show up, promise, overpromise, and underdeliver consistently. But that's an experience, unfortunately. I'm not saying let it go on forever and ever, amen. But that's an experience often that you have to give yourself permission to give to your kid, because it's their parent. The most hurtful thing that, and we see this all the time, you've watched it all on television, everybody's seen some movie where the mother or father, the kid comes back and says to the mother or father, you took my parent away from me. You never gave me the chance to get to know them. Yeah, but he was doing this and that. I don't care. You should have let me figure that out. If he was a jerk, I would have figured it out, but you denied me the right to get to know them. And they're furious with their parent. Even if the parent was, and in some cases it was the right decision. The person was a gambler, the person was a drunk, the person was abusive, or into criminal activity. In some cases, it was the absolute right decision. And still that kid is furious because they didn't tell the truth. They denied them access. And it's a part of them that they want to know. So I share all this with you because I want to give you the foundation for being engaged with your co-parent in a way that has you be in a healthy space with them so that they can have access to your children if it's appropriate. And then the children get to make up their own mind. And trust me, your kids are going to make up their own mind with or without you. They're going to do it. So you might as well allow them to do it in a way that you can be involved, that you can be supportive, that you can put up healthy boundaries. And then when the child realizes that their father is wonderful, or their mother is great, that's great. And if they realize that their mother or father is not so great, you can support them in getting through that realization as well. But at least you're there for them. Denying them access doesn't support you, it doesn't support the kid, and it doesn't help the other co-parent either. It's a lose, lose, lose situation for everybody. All right, so if you want to get beyond next level co-parenting, beyond the kids, you gotta stop seeing your former partner as an ex. All right, I use the phrase former partner. My daughter's dad and I, which if you guys have ever noticed, every once in a while I might refer to him as my ex, mostly in context because of this conversation. When I refer to him as my daughter's dad, it almost sounds as if we were never married or had some other kind of relationship. He is my former husband. I often refer to him as my daughter's father or my former husband. I don't typically call him an ex, or I typically call him by his name. I'm not going to do that online to protect his privacy. But usually I don't refer to him as an ex. He's not an ex. At a minimum, the highest regard I have for him, right, is he's the father of my daughter. And that is the highest regard I have for him. I guess at a minimum, he's my former partner, right? So he's not an ex. He's in my life. He's in my daughter's life. He's not excommunicated, ex anything. There's no ex. How I think of him matters, because how I think of him, what we think about people, places, and things governs how we behave towards people, places, and things. There is no ex, nothing that I regard as an ex that I want in my life, nothing. Ex high school friends, ex boyfriends, ex jobs, ex anything. If it's got the word ex in front of it, it's not something I want in my life. Out the gate, if you're referring to him as an ex, you are setting yourself up for a distance relationship, because it's already somebody you don't want to have anything to do with. And that might be true. And I'm not suggesting that you guys take this on like overnight. This was a process. It was a process, but I never referred to him as my ex because I have to think of him differently. So the way in which you build a co-parenting relationship beyond your children, the first step is to stop thinking about them as your ex. So I'm going to give you 5 ways to engage with them that are different. This really, really, really is in service of your children. And I'm going to say it one more time. Like the Lorax speaks for the trees, I speak for your children. Every child deserves to have interaction with two healthy parents. If it's a judgment call often as to whether or not that person is healthy, get support in making that decision. Obviously, if there's criminal activity, abuse, addiction, you need support anyway to cope with that, period, end of story, and to figure out how to support the former person in getting help, or to distance yourself because they're never going to get help and it's not a problem you can solve. Totally get that. But I would say most of us are in that it's the 80-20 rule. 80% of us, it's really just about reframing our relationship with them. Once we get past the hurt and the pain and all of the emotionality that went with the separation and the divorce, if you can get past that, then you can just see the person as the father or mother of your child instead of an ex, which is really what you're going for here. They may not have been the greatest partner, but they might be a phenomenal parent. Give your kids the opportunity to experience that parenting for themselves without you interfering. So here are my 5 steps for building a co-parenting relationship beyond the kids. First of all, start seeing your former partner as a man or woman. You have to see them as just them. You know, John is John. John is a man. John is a man who commits mistakes like a man, who says good things like a man, who says bad things like a man, who does smart things like a man, who does dumb things like a man. John is a man. He's just a man. He's not a god. He's not an icon. He's, you know, he is a man. And I don't mean that like in a bad way. She's just a woman. When we are married to people, we often hold them up so high. He was the bee's knees. He was my everything. He was my alpha, my omega. He was all of those things. She was so amazing. She was mother. She was a goddess. And that label in and of itself puts them on this pedestal so high that when they fall from grace, it is painful for you. Now you really want to call them from an ex because you feel betrayed by them. They betrayed the role, the label that you put on them. They may never have asked for that label, but they betrayed that. See them as man, woman. When you see them as man, woman, you get to see them as human. And when you see them as human, you go, yeah, that wasn't the smartest thing, but I've done that too. They become relatable. They're not iconic status. He's just a man that you were married to. And at one point, he was a good man or you wouldn't have married him. At one point, she was a great woman or you wouldn't have married her, right? So see them as man, human, that's it. No ex, they're just a person. They're just a person. Just like you watch all those stories on TV and you guys see them like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that was the dumbest thing. And then your friend goes, or maybe it's you that even goes, yeah, but I can see why they did that. He was hurt. She was sad. I can see why she would have let him back. I can see why he gave her a second chance. They were trying to work it out. They were trying to make it. Everybody watches something as soon as on TV that's relatable. And as soon as you get to the human element of it, because you see them as a man or a woman and not the character that they've been built up to, they become relatable, and you start making excuses or providing explanations for why they might have done what they did. You start giving the character in the story grace, right? Because you get it. We've all done it, right? I wish we would give each other grace. You know where I give people a lot of grace? Driving. I was born to be chauffeured. I'm going to be honest. I probably shouldn't be driving. I don't enjoy it. And I really don't enjoy rush hour traffic driving. So when people cut me off, I just let them, because I'm sure I've cut somebody off. You guys, no one is perfect. No one is perfect. I'm sure on the road, we've cut people off. You've given somebody the finger. You didn't put your blinker on. You crossed lanes 8 times to make that left-hand turn because you got in the wrong lane. You thought the GPS said the light was coming up next. It wasn't. And you cut somebody off to that. We've all made mistakes. And yet, if somebody cuts you off, you're on the horn, yelling at them, shaking your fist at them, giving the finger to them. This is my point. Give your former partner some grace. They're human. Stop seeing them as your ex. See them as just a man. It allows you to see them in their humanness, and it takes all the blame off of them when they make a mistake. They are going to make mistakes. Count on it. And so are you. So are you. Count on it. And if you can see each other as human beings who are fallible, who make mistakes, who are trying, it changes it from he's my ex and he always screws up to it happens. I got it. All right, let's work it out and figure it out, just like you would for any other human being on the planet. Number 2, see each other as mother and father with rights and privileges to the child. If it wasn't your child and you were watching once again on TV, you would be saying same thing, providing explanations around the storyline about why that mother should see the kids or why that father should see the kids. Why? Because everybody on some level believes and understands that children need a mother and a father, however that is, or 2 parents, however that goes, right? They need people in their lives who love them, who surround them, who care about them. Everybody sees that. I promise you, if you're watching it on TV, you're looking at it going, he shouldn't deny the mother access, or she shouldn't deny the father access, because everybody on some level believes, unless, again, if the person has a lot of criminal activity, is abusive, or has addictive, like severely addictive, or a severe addiction in their pattern. For the most part, All of us are works in progress. We're all just trying to make it. We're all human. And in your humanness, you have a child to parent, and you are going to make mistakes. It does not negate you being the mother or father of that child with rights and access needed to your own kid to be a positive influence, right? So see them as human, see them as the mother or father of the child who has rights and deserves access to the kid. What if somebody tried to cut you off from your access for the kid? I'm telling you right now, I would go ballistic. There is no way I would ever not be in my daughter's life unless, and I don't have any circumstances that I can imagine for myself, but I've seen some circumstances. I cannot imagine at any time where I would abdicate those rights for any reason to not have access to my daughter, unless I was some sort of Jason Bourne character and people were after me. Even in John Wick, I think it's John Wick 3, Halle Berry's character has a daughter who's not in her life. And the reason she's not in her life is because Halle Berry is about that life with John Wick, and she didn't want that for her daughter. So I get that. If you're into, or you're an addiction, you have an addiction problem. You're not about that. You're not about having a healthy life, and you need to go to rehab, and so you give up your parental rights. I get that. Those are the circumstances where I can imagine. I've seen some fathers and mothers, people who have criminal activity in their life or have been incarcerated. They'll give up. These are extreme circumstances. 80% of us, probably 95% of us, don't have any of those circumstances going on where we would willfully abdicate the rights to our children and never have them in our life. Most of us, that's not the case. It's just not, statistically speaking, it's just not the case. So see them as a mother and father who has a right to have access. Because if somebody challenged your right and had to have access to your kid, I promise you, you would go ballistic. If just because they felt like you weren't a good partner, you can't now see your kid, I don't think so. That's not happening, right? That's how we would feel. Give the other person the same grace. They weren't a good partner. It doesn't mean they don't deserve rights. So see them as the mother or father who has rights, just like you have rights. Number 3, respect each other, period. There's nothing else to put on this. You are respectful to each other. Don't make actions mean he was late. That's so disrespectful. You don't know that. What if he ran into traffic? What if his boss called him into a meeting late? What if he got a flat tire? He's always late. He was always late when we were like, let it go. This is what I'm saying. That's why you got to let go of that ex relationship. You're not in that relationship anymore. You have to think of them in a new way. He is a man who makes mistakes. He is a father that has the right to have access to his kid. Give him the respect he deserves. If he calls and tells you he's going to be late, if he apologizes, if he's making every effort to get there, even if he shows up late, but he still shows up and he still takes the kid, give them grace. Same thing for a woman. Gentlemen, if she's frustrated with you because you're late or you don't call, if she's frustrated with you because for whatever reason, give her grace. She's the mother of your child. She's frustrated. She is acting on behalf, let's hope, of the child, right? And no kid should be sitting with their face pressed up against the window waiting for some parent to come pick them up to take them out for pony rides. That is a terrible parenting tactic. If you're going to be late, call. If you can't make it, rearrange the date in advance. Don't wait until the date or the time and have the kid all ready with their bags, their backpack to go to the zoo and you don't show up. Don't do that to your children, right? Respect each other by being open, by being honest, by communicating, by being truthful, by keeping your word, by showing up when you say you're going to show up. If you're not going to show up, give advance notice, make new plans, and then show up at the new plans. Do what you're going to say what you're going to do, give each other respect. That's respect. It's not, she'll understand, I can be a few minutes late. We're very flexible around here. She might be mad, but she'll get over it. I'm going to break this. I don't feel like doing it. It's not that. That's not parenting. That's BSing. That's BS. If you're going to come on Friday and this is your time, come. If you're going to take the kid out, take the kid out. If you say you're going to be at the doctor's appointment, be at the doctor's appointment. Neither parent should be calling the other parent talking about, I'm going to be late, I can't make it, I can't do this, unless they're extenuating circumstances, but it should not be a regular occurrence. If this is your MO, if you are constantly changing plans on the other parent, this is a problem. And it becomes disrespectful because you are making assumptions about that other person's time, that other person's life, and you are disrespecting your kid by teaching them they are not a priority in your life. Be respectful. Speak to them respectfully. No yelling, no name calling, no nastiness, no sarcasm. Nobody needs that. If you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all. Go back to your childhood rules, right? If you're going to be late, call. And pretty much don't be late. If you can't make it, make other arrangements, but make it, right? Show up on time. Be emotionally available for your kid. Be respectful to your former partner. That's it. This is not hard. Do what you're going to say what you're going to do, show up. This is not hard. Be respectful. 95, statistically speaking, honestly, if most of the parents just did that, it would change co-parenting on the planet. Just did that. Speak kindly, did what they said they were going to do, right? Say what they're going to do what they say they're going to do. And if they can't, make other arrangements, keep those plans, and show up fully emotionally available. If you did that, you're being respectful, it's a wrap. We can all go home, right? That would just be great. Show up, be respectful. All right, number 4, support your former co-parent, right? Support your former partner in having a good life, in being happy. Why? Because it makes your children happy. Like you guys, we got to get off this thing where we think that I just want him to, let it go. Let it go. Haven't you both suffered enough in a marriage that was painful, in a separation that was difficult, in a divorce that was challenging, and now you're in the co-parenting and aftermath phase, and you want somebody to suffer even more, which makes you like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to be happy about that. You are suffering because you want the suffering of somebody else. Let it go. Just let it go. Let it go. Want for their happiness, because if the other person does well, your kids do well, right? If the other person is happy and fulfilled, your kids are happy and fulfilled. If they got a good job, they're taking better care of your kids, living in a better neighborhood, helping you pay for college, helping you get them to their senior prom. They're doing other things. If they're stuck, broke, downtrodden, and you're browbeating them the whole entire time, they're going to stay stuck, broken, and downtrodden. Like, give people some grace. This gets back to the first one. See them in their humanity. They're going to make mistakes. But as they try to lift themselves up, support them in lifting themselves up, not for you, although ultimately it benefits you, for your kid. Because let me tell you, if your kid is sized about seeing their dad, and their dad is happy, and their dad is taking them places and traveling, and I know this is a hard, I would say of all of the ones I'm telling you, this was probably the hardest one, because I really did in my own, I just want him to suffer. You just want him to suffer. That's why I know this one, because you want them to be miserable because of the way they hurt you. I understand that. I get it. I was there. I lived it, but it didn't serve me. It didn't serve me because I was miserable looking for their misery. It was miserable. A doctor once said to me, because I was really, really struggling. I was really struggling about the divorce in general. Is this the right thing to do? And a doctor said to me, if the parents are happy, the child will be happy. And I really, really, really took that in. I took that in. And so after that, I just was like, well, if this is the job that supports his career and it makes him happy, then I'm happy he takes it. Even when it required a lot of travel, I just said, well, on the back end, I might have her more. We had 50-50 custody. I might have her more, but he'll be happier when he has her. And he was. He also contributed more financially because the job had a lot of financial gain. So in places where, we would meet each other to do our thing, he was incredibly generous. He was always incredibly generous with his daughter, but the better his career did, the more generous he was with her. And he was more supportive of me. He would ask me, did I need anything to take care of her, to support her? Because I had her more often, very generous with me. Ultimately, it benefited me, but moreover, it benefited my daughter, right? That's the bottom line. That's what you want. The happier your partner is, the happier they're going to be interacting with your kid, right? Do you want to send your kid over to somebody who's like, hey, baby, we're going to do this, or hey, son, I'm taking you out to this? You want to send your kid over to somebody who's sitting in the dark playing video games because they're just struggling emotionally, physically, mentally? You want to support them. When there were moments when we had struggles emotionally, physically, and mentally, we took care of each other. If one of us was sick, the other one took the kid so that the other one could get well. If one of us had challenges and needed counseling or support, we recommended people to each other so that we could do it. We went to family counseling together. We had a commitment to family above all else because it kept us healthy and happy as individuals, which kept my daughter healthy and happy. That's the bottom line. That's why you want for their happiness. All right. And number 5, remember, I want to remind you, when you met this dude, some of you may have known this dude your whole life. Some of you might have met him online. Some of you met him at some point. You loved them. You did. Remember that love and remember that friendship. You didn't always feel frustrated or sad or betrayed or hurt. There was a point when you trusted them and you loved them and you respected them. Remember that. That person is still there somewhere. It's the situation that you guys went through that has you behaving in a particular way that you no longer see those things in that person anymore. But that it's still there. They didn't change. You guys changed how you interacted with each other. But fundamentally, people don't change. Fundamentally, we evolve. We can if we choose to. But fundamentally, the love, the core of the person who you fell in love with is still there. Remember that. Remember that friendship. Give them grace. Allow yourself to connect to the part of them that you did love, that you did respect it, that you were friends with, so that when you interact with them, you're interacting with them from that loving place, right? This is the deal. These are the 5 things. You want to think of them as a man or a woman, human. Think of them as a mother and father who has rights to a child, your child. Respect them as the mother and father, as another human being on the planet. Support their happiness so that they, in turn, are supportive and loving of your kid. And remember, and if you can't get to any of those places, just sit for a minute and remember the love and friendship that you had. And let that take you back to their humanity, to them as a parent, to giving them respect, and to wanting for their happiness. That is the secret to building a co-parenting relationship beyond the kids, because it's not just about the children. It's about 2 adults respectfully coming together, seeing the humanity in one another, knowing that they have a child to parent together in love, and giving each other the grace and support and respect to do that. That is what co-parenting beyond the children looks like. So I encourage you, hi, Michael, nice to see you here. I encourage you to take a look at this, watch it, maybe even share it with your co-parent, and ask yourself if this is the kind of relationship you want to create. This relationship beyond the kids is going to give you so much support. The number 1 person that you will get the most support from on the planet is that kid's parent. There's no one on the planet that loves your kid like you love your kid, except for their other parent. No one. Grandma loves them like grandma, auntie loves them like aunties, uncles love them like uncles, cousins love them like cousins, and friends love them like cousins. The person that loves them the same, that has that fierceness, That fire is their other parent. If you can have a relationship with the other parent that is even beyond just the fact that you guys have kids, that it is respectful, it is supportive, it honors their humanity, you have grace, you give each other grace, y'all can make mistakes, fix the mistakes, come together and do a new thing, do a better thing, and the grace is a two-way street and y'all are respectful in doing it, you guys will crush it as parents. Why? Because you're not only working for the betterment of your child, you're working for the betterment of each other, which ultimately equals the betterment of your child. That's how you get to co-parenting beyond the children. And it will support you in ways I cannot even tell you. Things that you don't even think of asking for, the other person will give you because they want for your well-being. You know, my daughter's dad comes over and he puts together furniture for me. He helps me hook up. I've moved quite a bit, and every time he comes over and he puts together my tech. And it's not just for me. My daughter watches my tech, but he does it for me. If I've moved and I've needed something, he's supported me. And the same, if he's needed something for his career, if he's needed something for moves, this is how we've created family. And in that, I am supported, not just my daughter. It has lent itself to being in an ecosystem that is so loving, a tribe that is so loving, that feels so good, so familiar, like family is the dominant theme there. We have each other's back. That's the point. That's how you want to co-parent. Then you're not doing it alone. The number one fear that women have in doing this, and even some men, is I'm going to have to do this all by myself. And I'm telling you, I'm giving you the keys. If you think of the relationship beyond the kids, beyond the divorce, and you start thinking of this relationship as one that can support you with the kids, with your life, right? Even beyond divorce, it changes the game, and you get to have peace, love, happiness, joy, support in your life, and you're not doing it alone. You're not. But if you're going to hold on to your contention, your frustration, the X factor, you're going to make him an X. He is an X husband. He's going to stay X out of my life. He is excommunicated from my family. Then yeah, you're going to be doing a lot of stuff alone because you won't have the support. And I'm telling you, my daughter's dad, because he loves her so much, there's nobody that I want to be in a fight with for her other than him, because between he and I, we love her the most fiercely, the most powerfully. We are the biggest champions for her in her life. He's the one I want in the corner with me when it comes to her. Everybody else is a part of the village and they love her, but no one loves your kids the way you do, except for their other parent. No one does. That's just the way it is. No one even understands that love that you have for this person on the planet, except for their other parent. Give them the grace to show it. All right, that's all I got for you today. If you have been watching my page, you know, check it out. I've got a secret project going on. I want to help 300 women. If you are interested in being a part of this secret project going on, what I'm doing it, drop a Divalicious to me via DM. I would love to see you. Next month, we are moving forward. May is here. Next month, May is Mother's Day. I have a whole lot to say about that, but I'm going to wait until another time to say about that. I look forward to seeing you guys around May. Would love to know what topics you guys want to talk about. We're wrapping up this month with co-parenting. And I'm thinking about doing something around detoxing, decluttering, clearing out. I think we have a lot of stuff, and I mean this in every sense of the word. Physically, we got a lot of stuff in our physical home spaces. Mentally, we got a lot of mind trash that we need to clean out. And emotionally, we got a lot of emotional baggage that we just need to donate, just drop off, donate, squash somewhere. So I would love to know what you guys think about doing the physical, mental, and emotional detox. And let me know what you think about that as a topic for May, getting rid of some stuff in May. All right. Love you guys much. I hope this was helpful for you. Drop your comments on the bottom of the page. Let me know if this was helpful. If you thought this was helpful for you, share it with your, maybe your co-parent. If this is, you know, someone who's going through a divorce or trying to create a co-parenting relationship, share this video with them, and drop a DM to me, Divalicious, if you're interested in being part of my secret project I'm putting together. I'm coming up with this. It's an opportunity for women to participate, but there's only a small number of slots I can have to participate at this level. So if you're interested in working with me, if you're interested in taking your life to the next level, if you're interested in really owning your life, in reclaiming your life, and redefining your family and living the life that is waiting for you, then drop a DM to me with the word Divalicious, and I will reach out to you. We'll set up a call and we'll talk, and I'll tell you all about the program. All right. I hope you have a sensational Saturday. I'm going to finish my my coffee this morning, enjoy myself, and then you guys know I'm off. I'm already dressed. I'm hitting the gym. All right. Have a great Saturday, and I will see you next week.
I think to myself, what a wonderful world.